Hi guys, are we live? If you guys can tell me, I have not live streamed in a long time. Yeah, I think we definitely should be live. I see Amanda in the chat. Taylor, hi. Good to see people. We probably won't fully start until like more people jump in with us. Let's see here. Let's see if I can double check that everything is working. Can you guys hear me? Make sure that I'm on live chat. Let's see. Hello, Katie. I'm making sure that everyone can hear me. Katie, if you can let me know that people can hear me, that'd be great. I don't know how much of a lag is on this. It's been a little bit since I did everything. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Katie. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know how much of a lag is on this. I have not actually live streamed since I did my first ever querying like attempt. I live queried for the first time. God, was that like 2021, I think? And obviously things have changed since then. So self-publishing today. Oh my God, guys, insanity. Yeah, I was hoping to actually have my physical copy, but my author copies are literally coming today at 3 p.m. and we're only going to go for like an hour or so. So of course, my time, 3 p.m. if I'm starting this at 1, I'm going to end this at 2, and then the author copies will be here. But I'll be doing like an unboxing video and stuff. So I haven't actually seen my copies yet because Amazon is a pain in my butt. Awesome, but let's see who we got in the chat here. Moving to the next video. Stoked to see this notification pop up. Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, next video, I was literally filming it, and I just felt like for the next video for the challenge, 185 Insane, if you guys have seen that one, that's been my most popular video in a long time. I was trying to do like a glow up with me, and just every single thing I attempted did not work. And so because I'm moving, which I don't know if you guys can see, there's like nothing behind me, there's boxes and stuff. So moving while publishing was not obviously my first choice. However, because I lost my job, can't afford this place. So now we're moving. So I'll have some moving related stuff according to the episodes coming up. But my glow up with me video, I think I just need to restart when I move into my new place, because like I tried to dye my hair. Does my hair look any different? No, it does not. No, the dye did not take. the dye did not work. And then I tried a bunch of other stuff. So I don't know if I'm gonna scrap that video or post it anyways. Like I failed to glow up, which might be a little bit clickbaity, but like I literally everything I tried failed. I'm gonna hope the quick lunch goes awesome. Thank you so much, Julianne. Thanks for popping in for even just a second, and have a good day at work as well. So if you guys have any questions about challenge stuff, book stuff, anything like that, I am open to that. Otherwise, I will yap, and hopefully you guys enjoy my yapping. So for starters, my book, yes, is out today. It is in paperback and it is an ebook today. It is only on Amazon right now, the Zon. The reason for that being is that I'm still in the middle of Sarah Cannon's course, Publish and Thrive. So I literally did not get to the point of her course where she teaches you how to go through the rest of the publishing process on like Ingram and Barnes & Noble and things. And I literally, because of packing and moving, did not have the time to do that or a lot of the marketing things I wanted to do. So it's only on Amazon right now because that's the only lesson I actually completed prior to losing my job and getting everything pushed back so exponentially. So there will be hardcovers available, and there will be special editions. They will probably end up being versions of the cover that are not the illustrated version, but that is like a down the line kind of thing. I personally really like the illustrations on the cover. I'm very happy with them. It's Mume did a fantastic, incredible job. And I do have her working. She's already made, spoiler alert, the cover for the second book in the series and for my novella in the same world. So I have 3 covers from hers already, which I'm really excited about. Julian, glow-ups are overrated anyway, winky face. Yeah, it was more so I was trying to find my color season, and I was using like all the TikTok filters, and I was putting up like different clothes in front of me, and I still couldn't figure it out even after all of that effort. And then I proceeded to be like, you know what, I'm going through my closet anyways, and I have to move, so I might as well just pack all of that stuff up. So then I just started filming myself pack, and then I was like, this feels like it's also becoming more of just a moving vlog. So, and then I realized afterwards that I was kind of dumb because I got rid of like 6 bags worth of clothes, which was crazy. But then I packed up the clothes and I was like, this feels like a waste of boxes. So now I think I have to unpack what I packed in that video, and it just felt very redundant. So I'm probably going to save episode. I actually already have a different episode 3 that wasn't planned that has to do with my Q4 goal. That is already scheduled on my channel. That will be coming out in July. And then after that, we're going to get back to proper episodes of actually like the glow up one, kind of restarting and resetting my life at 27. Or maybe I might push that to when I'm 28 and make it kind of like a birthday related thing in September. But yeah, I'm restarting a lot of things. I'm also trying to see if like I still want to even work in marketing and things like that. But that's also like my only experience outside of retail. But honestly, retail is kind of sounding kind of good. It like, I'm just putting it out there. I will accept a retail job at this point, mainly because that had a really good distinction of work-life balance. Like when I'm in the store, I am working. When I am home, I am like not working at my day job, versus obviously working fully remote. I was working at the same computer all the time, so it was a lot. Let's see. Congrats, Jenna. Oh, thank you, Margaret. And Patricia, let's see. She said, did you consider publishing on your own website versus publishing on Amazon retailers? I know the wide publishing gives you broader audience to market to, but you also lose money per sale. Yeah, so my own website, I do want to eventually have author copies that I put like swag in, and I do like a TikTok shop kind of thing. But none of that I had time for with my move. Like I couldn't get stock here. I actually, if you see this bookshelf right here, that is now just covered with paperwork for moving. That bookshelf I specifically got from my roommate because he was just going to throw it away. And I was like, you know what, pass that over to me, because this was supposed to actually be the bookshelf that I put all of my author copies to sell myself on. And I was going to organize like my little bookmarks, little stickers, my swag items and things like that on that bookshelf. And now I'm just giving that bookshelf away like for free to any of my neighbors who want it once we move. Because those bookshelves suck when you're moving. I had 2 of them, the Billy bookshelves from IKEA, and both of them broke in moving. His was the only one that survived, so I took that one because he was just going to throw it away. And it was supposed to have all my author copies and stuff, but I'm like, I'm just going to have to get like a little more of a professional setup when I do sell my author copies on my website and stuff. Wide publishing gives you broader audience to market to, but you also lose. Yeah, you kind of do. A lot of that stuff, though, it had to do with simply because I lost my job, I could not afford the ISBNs that I wanted to get to actually own my ISBN. So one of the things that I also had to deal with when I was considering whether or not I was going to push back the release date after losing my job was I now don't have the money to invest into purchasing my own ISBNs, which means I'm kind of limited in what I'm going to do. And so I ended up just going with Amazon ISBNs, knowing that I will probably change things in the book down the line in special editions. And then in those special editions, I'll have the purchased ISBNs. So that's kind of what I was thinking about in terms of that. But in terms of the book, that is why right now it is on Amazon only. That is why it's also just ebook and paperback right now, because I'm going to save the special editions for being the hardcovers that I will probably also be selling on like TikTok shop and stuff. That way, if you guys want something really special, if you guys want something that has some swag, some artwork I've commissioned over the years, like I also, if you guys see the ebook, you will actually on Amazon check out the read the sample, and you'll see the map that I made is inside the ebook and it's inside the physical copy as well. And so I'm also wanting to print out a colored version of that because I made the whole map in color and forgot that like it's going to be printed in, you know, the paperback is going to be black and white unless you want your printing costs to be exponential for no reason. But I'm going to share it on my website of the full colored version because I think it's just prettier. I made it very colorful. And then also I'm going to include it in some swag stuff with like the colorful map. All right, so Katie said, having trouble loading your feed. Why am I getting that notification? All right, let's see. Katie said, I was white at first and in 3 years sold 1 book through Ingram. So I've stuck to Amazon, and while it is Amazon, It has worked out, so don't sweat being solely on Amazon for starters. I'm checking your book out now on Amazon Editors. Oh, thank you, Katie. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy it whenever you pick it up. Yeah, that's what I've kind of heard too, is that so many people who are in self-publishing, they end up going wide and they invest the money into it, and sometimes it just doesn't pan out. And I've heard Abram also is like a hell of a beast to deal with, and obviously, again, because I'm moving, could not invest the time into wrestling with it. So there was that on top of the fact that at the very least I learned through Sarah how to publish on Amazon, and that was it for right now. But eventually I would love to do Barnes & Noble at the very least. And the reason for that being is that I do know booksellers personally in those places, and I would love to do a Barnes & Noble signing specifically at my local one that I grew up with, and also at my local one. Well, it won't be local anymore because it's down the street from where I currently live. I'm not going to live in this area anymore, but I've met them down there at the other one, and they do a lot of indie published books at that one. The one that I grew up near, where I know the booksellers there, went to high school with like a couple of them and everything. It'd be really cool to do one there because I grew up at that place. But again, I'm not going to be in the area for either one of those two now that I'm having to move to a different neighborhood and everything. So I'm moving farther away, which means that my dream of signing books at these local events in my quote unquote local area doesn't really count anymore because they're not my local area anymore, if you get what I mean. Let's see. Ice pens are so expensive. Totally get that. I'll probably do the same thing, but first I have to get where you are. Well, Patricia, where are you at? Are you like still drafting or editing? Like the editing cycle hell that I got stuck in for 6 years? Don't do that. I don't recommend it. It's not fun. But yeah, I can also, like, if you guys are stuck on anything, we can definitely workshop that into this too. Like, whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm down for talking about. I will yap your guys' ears off at any point in time, let's be honest. That's why I have a YouTube channel, and not, like, I don't do as well with short form content because I always run over my time. But yeah, ice bands are expensive. Oh my God. Like, just a couple of, like, what was that? I was going to get the 10 pack, and I was, like, saving up for it, but then everything I saved up to buy the pack of more ISBNs, I was like, well, now I'm unemployed, so that has to go to like necessities now, you know. Cover studying about the Kindle. Oh, thank you, Katie, for buying the ebook. Yes, yeah, It's Mume did such a fantastic job. She understood the vision so much, and after such a negative experience with the first cover artist that I got, which I don't think I've talked about on the channel too much, I've been mostly mentioning it on Patreon. I did book last June a cover artist who still has my deposit and never actually gave me anything more than a sketch. And she gave me a sketch like 8 months later. She said supposedly by the end of this month she would have something. And so if I end up liking it, maybe I'll just do it as a special edition on something, or maybe I'll just do it as like a commissioned art, because I also know that that artist is very young. And I didn't realize their age when I was booking them, which obviously people can be professionals at any age, but obviously they weren't. And so I also know I don't want to, like, even if they do give me the art, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, because I don't want people to find out that that was the artist I had such a negative experience with, considering that, like, they're such a small artist and they're so young. I don't want to ruin their reputation at all. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it if I actually do get it, but considering I gave them money a year ago, it would be nice to get something. So we'll see. But It's Mume did a fantastic freaking job, and luckily, my worry was literally if I was going to do rapid release and I couldn't afford to get all the covers like back to back to back, how was I going to make sure that I could get in her queue in advance so that I didn't have to switch artists just to make my book get published in the right time? But luckily, she was just an absolutely lovely individual and was like, hey, no, I'm putting you on my strictly, this is my exception. So even if I am quote unquote booked out, I will still do your covers accordingly. So just absolutely lovely of her to do. So she's like, no, anytime you need it, I will get it done. I will squeeze it into my schedule because you're just awesome to work with. And I was like, thank you. You're awesome to work with too. So for that one, yeah, I already have the cover for the second book in the series. And then for the novella, which the novella is already drafted, and I just need to like edit it before it's supposed to be due to my beta. And I have been horrible with actually getting the editing done, and I don't know how much work it needs because I needed to give it some time off. And I was planning, like, to give you guys a time frame here of how just quick everything is happening. I made my video of the 185-day challenge on Monday. I was laid off on Friday. I knew I was probably getting laid off on Thursday because I got the mysterious meeting that was at the end of my shift on a Friday afternoon with the CEO and my boss Thursday. I was supposed to finish my novella that Friday. So I probably could have finished it even that Thursday if I hadn't gotten that email. I had been just so chronically stressed for 2 days straight. And then after like the emotional breakdown of losing your job unexpectedly kind of scenario, I was like, okay, I just need to take the weekend off. I'll finish the novella next week. And then they told me, oh, you're not going to get your severance pay until you return all of the expensive equipment that you have had at your home. And I was like, oh, crap. Can I give it to you on Wednesday? Because I really need that severance pay, but I also need to film as many videos as possible on the nice, like $20,000 worth of equipment that I had at home. And so I spent like 15 hours filming for 2 days straight, lost my voice, returned the equipment on Wednesday, and I was so burnt out I had to take another like 4 days off. And then it was July, and I finally finished the novella start of July, and I have not written since. I got so burnt out from like a 2-week depression spiral of losing my job, and then mass filming in the middle of that for 15 hours straight. I think I have like 15 or 16 hours worth of content. So that's not even including the time I had to get ready, put up equipment, take it down, exporting everything, and now the editing time that it is taking. So even though I move in like a week, yeah, I move in a week and I still have all this stuff up. I know. But even though I move in like a week, less than a week now, actually, you guys are going to be seeing videos filmed in this office for like a while because I filmed all of that content, honestly, before I thought I was going to have to move this early. I knew I was going to have to move, but I didn't think I was going to have to move this early. But unemployment ain't shit. Unemployment ain't shit. With the California freaking prices here, it ain't shit. Patricia said, yes, your career's so pretty. Yes, it's moving in. It's a fantastic job. After months of world building, I finally started writing. Now I just need to keep going. Fingers crossed. You've totally got this. Like, the hardest part is starting, and then if you get stuck, it's just about refilling the well with creativity and getting accountability buddies and just like making sure that you keep or maintain or rejuvenate the spark each time that you get stuck, because that's always like the worst parts for me when I'm writing is when I'm like, oh, I love this story so much, and then one day you're looking at it and you're like, actually, I hate everything I have ever written in this story, and everything is horrible. And then that's just when you need to step away. Like, don't make the mistakes some people make where they just like hit delete and they walk away, and then they're having the regrets later, and they're like, oh no. But I mean, if you do it, you're not the only one. I have made that mistake back in the day. Now I just save everything. Even if I cut it from the book and I'm like, this is garbage, I'm never going to use this, I just put it in a different Word doc. Like, I don't delete anything because sometimes you find out you do need it later. And I'm very much a person where if it's gone, like if my Word doc messes up and I don't have it auto-saved, I will not write it again. Like, I will rewrite if I have the reference, but I will not rewrite it from scratch. I remember in high school one time I was writing a story. I sent the first like 2 chapters, I think, to my family, and they were like, oh my God, this is the best thing you've ever written. This is fantastic. And then my computer crashed out on me. I lost 10,000 words. And I was like, no, I'm never finishing this. I was like, I'm never finishing this book ever. It was like a portal fantasy that I still remember to this day, quite a bit of the plot and the songs that I associated with it and everything. But I don't even think I have like the docs for the characters or the outline or anything. But I was like, I will never pick up this story again simply because I lost those 10,000 words. All right, let's see. Goodness, Patricia. Yes, you totally do. Amanda said the book cover looks gorgeous. I feel you on there. Never not being enough time. I'm always trying to find time to write and procrastinate on everything else. Oh my gosh, procrastination is real. And I feel like I am partially doing that by anytime I'm like, oh, I want to write, I'm like, but I need to move. So I'm going to do that. But then if it's like, oh, I want to pack, I'm like, oh, I should write. Never doing what my body's actually telling me to do. And that's like so toxic, honestly. But I feel like that's a pretty normal trait for writers to have. It's like, you know what I should do instead of writing my chapter today? I should procrastinate by cleaning my entire house. I should go and wash the dishwasher, wash the underside of my car, flip my mattress, anything other than writing. That's when I was actually getting the most word count possible. When I set my challenge, 185 days, I said 3K a day. Why? Because my writing habit at that point in time that then went immediately into the garbage can as soon as I was laid off was that, okay, I'm waking up at like 5 a.m. I would be downstairs ready for the day by like 6, and I would write from 6 until 8:30 when I clocked in. And from that entire time, I would get pre-K words. I would do like my admin and check my emails and do like my journal right here where I write down what I was doing for the day. But the very first thing I did before I did any of that was I literally just took the dog out, fed the animals, and then I sat down and busted out like 3K words normally in a couple sprints. And then I would do my admin stuff for the day, and I'd have all of that done before I started my actual day job for the day. And then during lunch, if I was like low on words, I'd usually write for like 30 minutes. And then I would save all my video editing and everything for right after work. And then when my husband would get home at like 7 p.m., while he was in the shower, because he works maintenance and everything, so he gets all grimy from work and everything, he doesn't want to eat. We had a long discussion about like how to schedule our lives accordingly with when he got into maintenance and he was getting home so late. So I was like, okay, when you go to shower, I will cook, and then you can come downstairs and be clean and not grimy while like you're eating. So then I wasn't actually cooking until like 7. So when I would clock out from 5 to like 7, I would also have all that time to do social media, video editing, like figuring out my 185. I would be doing my like language lessons, my TikToks, different things like that, and then eat dinner, relax for the rest of the night. So I was on a really good schedule, and that flew out the window completely as soon as I lost my job. I was like, now we're in a depressive spiral for 2 weeks, and now we got to find a new way to cope with everything. But yeah, that was how all that went. I'm still hoping to get back to the 3K words. I did write quite a bit at the start of this month to finish that novella, and then I got so burnt out on it. I was like, I need a minute, you know. But now I'm like, oh, I'd really love to write, but now I have a week till I move, and there's boxes everywhere, and I also have to paint all of the walls too, which proof that I wasn't planning to move again is the fact that we did paint. We thought we were going to be here for a while, but like, you know, not how the cookie crumbled. Anything but right. Yes, I need a guy who chains me to my desk and turns off Wi-Fi. That'd be the only way to stop me procrastinating. I don't know. I feel like the hunky guy would make you procrastinate after the math. Just throwing it out there. Sorry, Patricia. That's just the first thing that came to my mind. But yeah, that's what I found too, is that when I am procrastinating, it tends to be because I have my phone, and if I put it face down like this and I can see the notifications when they pop up, it's all over. I have to go set my phone like this and put it away from my view and make sure all the sound is off, because if not, that it gets me every time. I'm like, oh, who messaged me? Mind you, I worked in, again, social media management, marketing. So we didn't think that went through, did I? No, you didn't, Patricia. I mean, it sounds like you have a very interesting plan, but maybe you should just write that scene instead of living it, and then maybe you'll be more dedicated to the task of writing it. What is my biggest distraction? Yes. Okay. So this isn't like just an us or like singular person issue. This is like a much bigger issue than that, and it's an issue for so many write-ups and creatives, is that the freaking phone is addictive. If you guys, I think I talked about this in a upcoming video I filmed, but the way that social media, literally getting a notification on my phone and getting distracted by it right now, the way that the scroll feature is set up on our phones is literally set up very similar to how slot machines are. So it's similar addiction to gambling and things like that. So I also find too, people who have gambling addictions also have addictions, especially to like games on their phone and things like that. So it's not us. They literally set these things up to make us addicted. And you know what? I hate them for it, but also it's so fun. Like, I want to scroll through for threads today. Or like just be on TikTok for accidentally 2 hours. So when I was actually writing quite a bit, I did have a block on how long I could be on certain social media platforms. So I set that up on my phone. I do recommend that. However, I found out as well that I was like, oh, well, I can just snooze it for 15 minutes indefinitely. So then I would just be like, oh, I have a 2-hour cap on TikTok. And then every video I would get, I would just be like, oh, I've been on here for 2 hours today. Snooze it for 15 minutes. Because again, I worked in social media marketing. So part of those 2 hours was me doing my day job. And I'd be like, I totally didn't do it for 2 hours for myself. No, that was work hours. I get to be on here for longer. I was on TikTok for work hours for maybe like 15 minutes a day. And I was still like snoozing it. It was so bad. But On top of that, I turn off the notifications for most of my apps. So if you guys message me on like Instagram, which feel free to anytime, but what was it? Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I have all my notifications except for Messenger on all of those platforms completely off. And I would still get notifications from other apps, and I'd be like, oh, what does my Yahoo say right now? What is my Yahoo notifying me about? Oh, Duolingo's yelling at me. I should do that right now instead of writing my words. You have to turn off like every single thing, but unfortunately doing that and feeling so disconnected after you've been so plugged in for so long also feels super weird. So everyone has different ways that they cope with it, and honestly I think most of us are coping with our addiction to our phones very poorly, and that's completely okay because at least we're all in this together. We're all on the sinking ship together, right? Yeah, and freaking if you guys speaking of TikTok, if you guys have seen some of the videos I made about this, my TikTok, my main one, did get hacked. It got stolen. And then now that I've gotten it back, what the hackers did was that they turned everything into a shop and with like stolen content, and they got like over $10,000 worth of free merchandise on my account. And now, because they did that, my account is restricted and shadow banned. So my videos are getting like less than 100 views. And I'm like, that's great on the week of my release. Thank you. Thank you. And I tried to appeal it, but apparently I didn't send in the right information. So they're like, your account's still restricted. And I was going to appeal it again, but there's no button to appeal it again. So my second account that I barely started when my first one got hacked only has like 200 followers and gets more views. And I'm still so angry about it. I was like, now how am I going to sell my book on TikTok Shop if my account that has the most followers, got like 5,000 followers, is restricted? And I was getting like thousands of views on a lot of my posts back then. So I've been kind of upset about that. I'm like, man, I had a couple videos blow up about my book. Funny enough, using a quote that is now no longer in book one. So if you guys do look at my TikToks and you see a quote specifically about like a worshiping scene, it is not in book one. It is much slower burn than I anticipated when I was sharing that line with that scene that I wrote. And now that scene's in book three. I'm just putting it out there and warning people that it is a slow burn, but there is still spice. So if you're into that and everything, I balance it in book one. It gets definitely spicier in book two. And then we're hitting peak spice book three onward. Let's see. Kitty said, TikTok's like that. My man with 3.6K gets like 200 to 300 views. And my new podcast with less than 100 views gets 800 to 1,000 views. So weird. Oh, Maine, not man. Yeah. So part of the reason for that is they do want smaller accounts to grow faster, to get them like plugged in quicker. So a brand new account that posts for the first time is automatically going to get more views than someone who's been on TikTok for longer. Here's my like old day job brain coming out. So that kind of does make sense, but it does suck because it's basically proof that they're not showing your content to your actual followers unless you are friends. If you're friends, even, they will start showing old content to them before they show your new content, because they want to show your new content to the For You page first and have like proof in the pudding. But one of the things you might want to check as well, Katie, and anyone else who's doing TikTok as well, is that there is a feature in your settings to show your content to your friends and your contacts first. So if people who are like on Facebook or contacts in your phone, it'll show them first. And if they're swiping past you, bad friends, hello. But if they are swiping past you, then it hurts you in the algorithm as well, because, you know, a lot of the times our IRL friends or our Facebook people or other things like that, they're not interested in like book content necessarily. So it's not the ideal readership. So normally they are just swiping past your content. Even if they give you a like really quickly and then they swipe past, you're not watching most of the video. They're not the ideal audience. It hurts you in the algorithm. And then it makes it so that it's harder for you to grow on the platform. And then once you hit like 1.5K, I feel like, followers on TikTok, they stop pushing your stuff out as much as they do with a newer account. So my new account, Lore House, which is my publishing house, yes, I did name it Lore House because it sounds vaguely like whorehouse, and I'm writing mostly spicy novels. It was too funny to pass up. But that one actually, yeah, it gets more, and I only have like 300 followers on that one. But I think because I have both accounts on the same phone, they are both kind of getting hampered by the restriction on the one account on my phone, which is super funny because I was actually seeing that happen as well to the accounts I was logged into for work. And now that I'm logged out of them, I'm wondering if they're kind of doing better, but I don't know, because I obviously write spicy books. I didn't want people from my day job seeing it, so I blocked all of my old day jobs, social media accounts, and people who work there from seeing my content. I found their accounts and then blocked them. So I can't actually go check on my old day job now to see how they're doing without me, simply because I didn't want them to see. I didn't want to have to explain. Okay, I only kept my my boss on Instagram. I blocked her on TikTok though, but I kept her on Instagram. But I kept her because I was like, you know, if anyone from my day job is going to understand and not judge me for the spicy content of my books, it's going to be her, because she also on the side does professional pole dancing. And I was like, she would understand and get it. And she's not going to judge me as much as some of my other coworkers or my CEO would have, which is, oh my God, now that I don't work there anymore, I can tell you guys a little bit of the tea. Oh my God. So the CEO found out I wrote books. He wanted me to help with his, right? And I was like, sure, no problem, right? I got you. But then he goes, when I was releasing the book, I don't think I was releasing the book. I think I was just advertising it. He was like, he came running into the office one day and he saw me and he just gave me like a huge high five. And he's like, your book came out? And I was like, no, I was just advertising it. Like I didn't even have the cover posted yet. This was like a year or so ago. And he was like, oh, well, you got to tell me when it's out so I can buy it. I was like, sir, there is no way on this planet Earth I will ever tell you when my book is coming out, because I could not look you in the eye afterwards. Not after you're reading a book about a dude who's haunted by a spirit of lust. That should tell you the amount of spicy content and thoughts in the book. I was like, there's no feasible way. My mom already ordered the book, and I already have to look her in the eyes after she gets it. I can't deal with the extra additional trauma of my male in his 50 years of life reading it. I think he's probably going to still find out, though. He follows me on my personal account, and I'm going to have to post it there just so that, like, the people I have on my personal account are like, I didn't even notice you had your book out. Why didn't you tell me? Blah, blah, blah. Some people are like that. They're like, please tell me when your book comes out. And then I don't know. But you know what? It might not be a problem now if he does read it, because I don't work there anymore. I don't have to look him in the eye. I might let him read it and question things. We'll see. I'm even more excited to read your book. Get me all that. Yes. Yeah. So what I will say about the spice level, Patricia, and for anyone else who's interested in spicy scenes and things like that, is, again, the book is kind of hard to market, I will say, because basically the book is in 2 parts. So it's 20 chapters, and the first 10 chapters are definitely more of just a fantasy. And then the second half of the book, the next 10 chapters, are all heavier on the romantasy. So we're setting up the world for a huge saga. We're setting up dynamics with characters. It's a lot more found family. It is like the romance is sprinkled in. There's still the tension of them being like the 2 main characters because it's dual POV. It is them knowing that they should have been enemies and that they would have been if they had met earlier, but now they're forced through the inciting incident to work together. And they make an agreement and a pact to work things out. And basically they're like, as soon as this is over, the girl, the grumpy ass female main character, she's like, I'm out, I'm dipping, peace, I'm out. And he is meanwhile already kind of spooning. He's like, I love it when she hates me. It's not really him. It's like the spirit of lust in his head dogging him on, like, come on, you gotta admit, it's kind of hot that she hates you. And he's like, this is actually really frustrating for me because I genuinely like her. Can you please shut up? So it's also them sassing each other in his head when you're in his POV, which is just phenomenal to write. It is a fantastic dynamic. So that's sort of like your setup. And then it gets progressively spicier the more that the main character Karsten struggles with the spirit of lust and all the things that it's whispering in his ears and making him see visions and different things like that. But again, it is still slow burn. So them officially being like an item does take time. And I will say that it is definitely like, they're not going to end up by the first end of the first book. Everything is happy, blah, 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 because this is a 8-book planned series with the first arc being 4 books and the second arc being 4 books. I do plan, even though I'm moving, to have the first 4 books rapid released this year. I'm already almost done drafting book 2. And then I'll be moving on to book 3, book 4, and it would be nice to have them all out by like spring next year. So you're not gonna have to wait very long. And in between those, I do want to also release the novellas, which feature all of the different Vikings inside of the world, inside of like their Viking clan, who also all had romances 2 years before the start of the book. And you'll see the male main character actually in that Viking clan and being like the only single person. And him just being grumpy in the background the entire time. And that was the novella I finished earlier in July. And it was honestly so funny to be writing from a perspective that wasn't him or the main character Adelaide, looking in on him and seeing him in a completely different way, especially because even the novellas are dual POV between the love interests. So you're having them fall in love, them with the family around them, getting to know the found family of the other Vikings a little bit better. And then meanwhile in the background, you could just see Karsten being like a grumpy little raccoon in the background. I don't know why I said raccoon, but he just feels like that in that book. He feels like he's just sneaking around in the back doing his own plot relevant things. And then all of the novella series will also cross over. So that's planned 8 books, which will go into summer of next year, I think. And they have crossover with each other, but can be read in any order. So they're all technically standalones, but then they cross over and there's like an intended reading order, but you can kind of read them in any order. And then you'll see the other characters cross over and affect each other's stories as well, which has really been a fun thing to play around with. Although figuring out the timeline is a little intense because it's 7 books all happening in the same week. So it's all 7 much shorter, like super duper spicy romances all happening and crossing over each other in a 10-day period of each other. And so figuring out the timeline of that and outlining them has been something I'm still working on, especially because I need to also start drafting the second novella to meet my rapid release timelines. Patricia said, sounds like you're dealing with the same issue I am. Often too many fantasy for romance readers, but also too much romance for pure fantasy fans. Yeah, so I was told by betas that I actually balanced it really well, but whether or not people go into the book going, oh, I'm expecting this to be instant romantasy, I'm like, just listen, give it the setup of the first half of the book. It's going to pay off, but you need the tension and the angst of them kind of not liking each other in the first 10 chapters. Like he's very much like, she's really hot and we had a connection at first, but then I kind of ruined it and now she hates me. And that also is kind of hot, but I'm confused. But that's the underlying tension from his point of view. And then meanwhile, from her point of view, she's like, you are literally from a faction who I have hunted and killed my entire life. And I don't like you for that reason and that reason alone. And so she's just like dead set on him being a liar and him not being honest about who he is and being like, hey, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with you. Why can't you be a horrible, horrible person? That's literally a line that she, I think, has. I'm not quoting it exactly, but she literally asked him, like, why can't you be a horrible person? Like, it'd be so much easier to hate you. But he slowly starts cracking down her walls and things like that. She said, damn, and I thought I was doing well with planning a 5-part series. You've got plans, girl. Thank you, Patricia, but I am a Virgo. So I think it comes naturally, unfortunately, that I just set up and plan a huge world. This is actually, if you guys have been here for a while, you'll know my original book, Spaceborn, which wasn't only like first ever book, but it was my first book that I was working on with an AuthorTube channel. I started working on that in 2016, I believe. Yeah. And I got into editing hell with it for 6 years, rewriting it like 4 different times, entered into a bunch of contests, almost got into them and never did. And then on top of that as well, queried it for like 2 years, did a rewrite again in the middle of one of them from agent feedback, was so close to getting an agent with that book, literally to the point where an agent read the book 3 times. 3 times an agent read the book and literally at the end just said, despite reading it 3 times, I could not come up with an editorial vision for this book, so I'm going to have to pass, but like send me your next thing. I just couldn't figure out how to edit this one. And I was like, bitch, me too. Me too. That's the problem I've been having with this book for almost a decade. So I've been working on that book for that amount of time. That's actually going to be the project I'm focused on the most for 2026. Once the first arc of the Divided Gods saga, which is Between the Shadows of the Dawn, the book I'm talking about today, that's released today. Once those are all done along with the novellas, and they're published all by the end of like summer 2026, so a year from now, then I'll be transitioning into working and focusing completely on that series again. But the reason that this series has gotten so big is because Between the Shadows of the Dawn, in its first iteration, I was actually writing and working on in 2015, my first semester of college. So before I even got with my husband, I've had, because I got with him January of 2016. We were friends in high school, and then we got together in college. But I started dating him at the same time as I started working on Spaceborne. I think I got the idea for it like a week or two before or after our first date. And so Spaceborne took over my life after that. But in the back of my head this entire time, and on the side, I've been working on the world of the Divided Gods saga over here. And on top of that, this otherworld fantasy, which you're gonna, if you go and look on the ebook or if you go and get the paperback, it's inside of it. Again, the map that I made includes towns and villages from other fantasy books that I'm also having on the back burner, because all my otherworld fantasy that I am not going to put into the Great Trenches all happen in the same world. And so there are slight crossovers between series eventually that's also going to happen. Why? Because I've been working in the same world, I think, since high school, and specifically built it a whole lot more in the original iteration of the Divided Gods saga, my first semester of college, which was like 2015. So that's how this whole thing has built up exponentially over time. Let's see. I was just about to say, maybe Patricia should write that as a novel. Yes, Amanda, please. Yeah, so that was that's why this whole book has gotten, and this whole world has gotten so exponentially big, and how it ended up being a planned 8-book series. That's why it's called a saga as well. This is like throwing this out there. Any series, when I say, oh, this is a series, it's probably going to be capped at like 3 books, like a trilogy or like maybe duology. If I say it's a saga, she's a beast. So the Spaceborne saga, first book, Spaceborne, that's also a planned 8-book series. And when I say arc, it's usually like the first half of that. So the first 4 books in Spaceborne, the first 4 books in the Divided Gods saga, all deal with the same bad guy or like scenario or situation. And then when we're doing kind of a bigger time skip, and when we're doing a different bad guy and different conflict, that's another arc. And this is kind of the way that I can kind of reset the series, theoretically speaking, because I haven't done it yet, but this has been the plan. Is basically first 4 books, you can read those, you get a satisfactory conclusion, and then if you want to stop there, you're free to. If you want more, you can go on to the next arc, and if people are like, I'm not really too interested in the first arc, perfect, you can jump in on the second arc. And I'm theorizing that the way I'll set that up is that you don't have to have read the first 4 books to enjoy the next 4 books. Similar author that I know did this was Robin Lefevers with her, I think it's Assassin's Heart, something. I know one of them is Courting Darkness. I would look, but all my books are packed up. So I'm looking at my bookshelf and there's nothing there. She did a very similar thing where she did a trilogy years ago when I was in high school, obsessed with the books, still own my original copies, and I started getting the new covers of them. And then she revamped it and released them as a little bit like more new adult aged books. And I think there's 2 or 3 in that series that I also haven't dove into because I needed to reread. I wanted to reread the trilogy, though you didn't have to read the original trilogy to read the next books, but I wanted to because I really liked them. So that's what she did, and I was like, perfect. I'm going to steal that concept real quick. Let's see. Amanda said, my problem with distractions isn't social media. I wish, because that would be so much easier to set boundaries. My distraction is that my writing space is next to the kitchen. It's always next to, yes. I empathize with you so much, Amanda. When I was in college, that was also my writing space, was actually the breakfast nook in the kitchen. So it wasn't even like next to the kitchen, it was in the kitchen. So, and then in high school, my writing space was the dining room table. So anytime anyone was like eating, or if we were having like family together, whatever, I just had to like close my laptop, put it behind me on a different table behind the couch. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, set the table. They'd want me to set the table like an hour or two before dinner was being served. And then I would just be like sitting there at the table with no food in front of me, and then like having my laptop maybe in my lap, or I'd have to have it behind me. So like, yeah, I empathize with that so much, Amanda. That's, I don't know if your kitchen gets hot, but like, especially when, when I was living at home and in college, I had my office in the kitchen, which is actually the first videos. If you go back in my channel, my first videos were in that breakfast nook, filming them in my little fake office inside the kitchen in that breakfast nook. And it would get so hot when they would like be cooking, and it would feel all muggy out, especially because I'm in Southern California. We get like 110 degree days. And it would also be awkward because there was a giant window that looked straight onto the street. So I'd have to have the blinds closed the entire time, not only because of the heat, but because I also lived like less than a block from my high school. So I still knew people who were a year younger than me that went to that high school. And so if I had the blinds open, if I needed a little bit of light, I had to then crack the blind open and just hope none of the high schoolers could just see me at home in my pajamas writing at my desk. And I'd be like, please don't look at me. The same thing would happen actually when I'm going on a tangent now because we started talking about this and now I'm bringing back memories. But when I first started YouTube, not AuthorTube, but YouTube, my channel was originally a comedy channel. I started it in like 2011, 2012, a long time ago. And I would be filming in my bedroom, which again, the window also faced the street in that same house I grew up in, not even a block from my high school. And I would film videos without a lighting. So I would have to open the window and open the curtain. And there's tons of like times that I had to cut out, and when I was like ducking so that people who were walking by didn't see me filming content in my bedroom because they could just see like straight into where I was. And there was times that I would make direct eye contact with someone I knew from school, and I was like, man, they're gonna mention this tomorrow. And they did, and I was like, please don't tell anyone where I live. And unfortunately they did, and then I got doxxed. So that was like a scenario. But yeah, I was like, could you please keep it quiet? This happened so much that I don't actually know who is the one who actually leaked my address at one point. But it was just a continuous, like I've been dedicated to trying to do YouTube for so long without being consistent, because I have things like that happen and make me want to just go ghost. I was like, don't look at me. Don't realize I exist now. That I made direct eye contact with you when I was, mind you, I was doing skits too. So I was wearing like wigs. I was old school YouTube. I was wearing wigs, putting on like crazy like wrinkle makeup when I was pretending to be an old person. All those videos are private. They're in hell now. Snacks are a great distraction. Totally feel that. So with this many things planned, do you outline everything in detail, or are you more of a pantser? So snacks, distraction. I get that. But I don't know, Amanda, let me know if you're meaning a little bit more like snacks with attraction because you want to get the snacks, or if you mean like other people coming into your kitchen and getting snacks. Because I would, when I worked in the kitchen, I had both those problems. I was like, you know what? I want to distract myself by getting a bowl of cereal at 2 p.m. for some reason. But then also because everyone would be walking in and out, and it's really hard to be like writing a kiss scene when your mom is like stirring mac and cheese. You're like, the sound is really awkward right now. So with this many things planned, do you outline everything in detail, or are you more of a pantser? So this has been a journey for me. Right now, I'm 100% very much like an outliner, planner kind of scenario, but I do not make myself conform to an outline if while I am writing, I know it's not working. Because for me, it's like, what is the point then of putting in all this effort to drafting if I know I'm gonna have to like change something later? I'd rather just get it more accurately, especially because I do tend to clean draft. So I don't stop myself from writing things that aren't in the outline, and I do allow myself to change things accordingly. Although my old way of doing things was definitely, I would just write like sort of the beats out, and I'd be like, they talk and bond, versus like actually writing out what they talk about and what they're bonding over and how they're supposed to feel. Now I go and do that more when I'm outlining. I'm like, okay, here's more of the nitty gritty details. That way I don't have to pants as much. and I tend to write faster and clean draft better that way. However, I have done that for books I have not written yet. I will throw that out there because Between the Shadows of the Dawn, I didn't have this outline method when I started, and I didn't have it when I started the sequel either, because the sequel kind of was like I'm going to be honest, it was only created because I overwrote the first book so much, because originally this was also a serialized novel. So I had so much outlined that I didn't realize I basically outlined the entire like 4 books of the first arc and thought it was book 1. I was like, there's no feasible way that KDP will allow me to publish something close to 400K words. That is not a feasible outcome. So I had to re-outline accordingly to make the first episode of my serial be the first book. And then I think it was actually the first 2 episodes became the first book. And then now episode 3 is now book 2. So it was a little awkward to remember those 2 different things. But actually writing a book according to my new outlining method is something that I still have to do. I didn't even do that with the novella, to be honest. When I did the novella, it was still a pretty sparse outline because I had started on that a long time ago too, before my new outlining method. I do like my new outlining method a whole bunch more, and I'm going to actually be doing that for the second novella, which I did start the outline, but I think I need to beef it up a little bit more just so that I don't get stuck with it, so that I can adhere to the rapid release plans that I do have, especially because some of the novellas are kind of like themed to the holidays. So I do need to kind of be on schedule for the ones that are related to the holidays. Let's see. Which of your 2 main characters was most difficult to write and why? That is a great question, Amanda. I would say in the beginning, it was Karsten for the first part of the book. So for the first 10 chapters, you'll probably notice as you're reading that his chapters are actually shorter. And the reason for that being that he wasn't as willing to open up very quickly. You know, he's got a commander, soldier, warrior kind of mindset. He's like, this is just what happened. And so his chapters were a lot shorter than, say, Adelaide's. Adelaide, female main character, she was like, this is just how the world is. And she was very like, I don't know if the word is correct, but nihilistic, I guess. I feel like that's not the right word I want to use, but she was just a lot more cold and detached. And so it was kind of easy to write from her perspective because she didn't care all that much. And she cared about like one thing in particular. And just I honed in on that in the first 10 chapters of her motivation. But then the second that she starts to actually catch feelings, her POV actually started becoming a little bit more difficult because she didn't want to admit those feelings to herself. So getting to her head when she was feeling feelings she didn't want to face was more difficult, versus Karsten in the second half became so much easier because he was finally admitting what he wanted and being more of an open character. This is actually the same exact problem I had with Spaceborne. Soraya's point of view is that she was just so damn stubborn and didn't want to actually face or admit any of her emotions. So getting into her head was damn near impossible. And it took years to break through that because she's probably my most traumatized character of anyone. And I think I'm actually finding a new way to get into her head, which is just doing third POV with her. And I think through that lens, it's easier to write her. So now I'm just writing everything in third POV because I'm finding that actually is the easiest way to get in touch with characters who emotionally don't want to let you in, is to kind of like sneak in into their heads. I'm talking as if they're real, but they're real to me, okay? But sneaking into their heads through third POV to make it feel like almost they can't block you out because you're not really in their head. You're just like observing them from like a really close range. It's been helping me. Let's see. So excited for the expansion of the series with the Viking Lancers. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, I'm so excited about it because they're mostly side characters in the first book, but they do start having more stuff to do as the stories progress. And so they're just so cute and so spicy, and it's lower stakes. They definitely still have like their conflicts and stuff, but it was definitely a breath of fresh air to write something that was just a little bit more of the world that I love, but before the traumatic Inciting incident happened that really like changed all of the rules. So that's been super fun. Let's see. Sky said, popping in to say hi and congrats on your new release. Woo! Yeah, thank you, Sky. Thanks for popping in. I know, like, for a lot of people, this is an awkward time because I'm still in, PST. and I've always been here, so this has always been like kind of the problem, is that everyone else on East Coast is like, this is an awkward time, and then everyone in like other parts of the world, they're like, you're at like 9 p.m. Literally, I was in the 185 Discord group, and one of them was like, your live stream's at like 9:30 at night. Which, by the way, if you guys want to go and join the Discord, I highly recommend it. Love the people there. We're all just cheering each other on all the time if you're looking to change your life in 6 months. But that's been a thing. Let's see. Patricia said, I despise outlining with every fiber of my being. With my current whip, it happened naturally, which was such a shock. Usually outlining feels like a prison rather than a roadmap. I was like this in high school when I was writing. I totally understand that completely. So I found, though, that like every story is different. So some stories, the outline is going to flow. Some of them it's not. And sometimes the story is better written pantsing than it is outlining. And it really is like a case-by-case scenario for so many authors. And I know so many authors who get stuck because they're like, oh, this is the way I've written every story ever, so it has to be the same going forward forever. I'm like, no, creativity doesn't work like that. It wants you to do what it wants you to do now. And it wants you to do it right now. You're not allowed to do anything else. It wants you to do its way or the highway. And stories are stubborn like that. And characters are stubborn like that too. Like, you're like, oh, I wanted to get these two characters together. Oh, look, side character who they actually have more chemistry with. That's confusing. That's happened to me in other books before. And I was like, I have to rework that now. Same here, Patricia. With my current whip, the outlining process went so much smoother. The biggest difference was knowing more of my characters. Yeah, I think too, at least you guys can tell me if you feel kind of this way too, but if my character is super closed off, like emotionally, and they don't want me to get to know them, this story is like just grinding your teeth the entire time, pulling words just like with your bare hands, like, please let me write, please. Because my characters are so stubborn like that. And if they don't want me to know their POV, I don't know their emotional state. And it's like impossible to write. That was for a long, like, again, Soraya from Spaceborne. Oh my God. This, I think on my art that I've done, or not my art, but my social media posts that I've been doing for Adelaide from the Divided God Saga, I've been saying, oh, stubborn to a fault, still has no comparison to Soraya from Spaceborne. Soraya fist fought with me as a fictional character for almost a decade, and now I'm subjecting myself to more of her stubbornness next year. And I'm like, I am going to have to probably have therapy after dealing with her again. Just like good, I'm not alone. Amanda, my MCs were actually the hardest to build and get to know. The world and how it works, easy. The supporting cast, easy. The most important characters, yes. Oh my God, yes. Patricia and Amanda, you guys are so freaking right. Like, I find, especially with side characters in the world, I love world building. I'm one of those weirdos. If I don't already, I do have a video up on some world building tips. Because I'm one of those weirdos who actually does really love world building. And I love, like, I think most of, not all of my books have a found family trope. But even though those are side characters, when I do flip to their POV on like a writing exercise, or if I'm doing multi-POV or something like that, so easy to flow into their head, no problem at all. Main characters, the ones I chose, they don't let me in. I'm like, please, like, when I was writing the first iterations of Spaceborne and it was all first person in Soraya's head, it was like pulling teeth. I had to rewrite it a bazillion times. The epilogue, however, was always in third POV from a different character's perspective. And that epilogue stayed the same with only minor tweaks the entire 10 years that I worked on the book, and it'll probably still stay the same. I wanted to strangle the fictional characters because I was like, what do you mean that the epilogue has stayed the same? Everyone said it was one of their favorite parts of the damn book. And it's not the POV character's perspective at all. It is a side character. Now, one of the things I'm going to end up doing with Spaceborne is doing it multi-POV and doing it in third person so that it flips between... Soraya is still like the main character. So what I'm thinking is it's a Soraya chapter, a side character chapter, a Soraya chapter, and so on. But then I'll alternate whose POV it's from each time we get to a side character POV in the found family. I still haven't outlined that, but I'm like, if I start working on Spaceborne, the danger is that I'm going to fall into that cycle of, it'd be great working on that book again for another 6 years. Nope. That's why I'm like, I'm dedicating a whole year just so that like I'll have books out already. I'll have the first arc done. I'll have the novellas done. And then we can discuss Spaceborne again, because that thing still to this day has me in a chokehold. And whenever a song I associate with that book comes up on my playlist, I'm like, I could dedicate another 6 years to the same fucking book. It's horrible. Versus like working on Between the Shadows and the Dawn came so easy. The fact that I ended up writing like almost 40K words on accident and still thought it was book one. I wrote so much in this story already, thinking it was book one, that I had to split the book between Reedsy projects because Reedsy started glitching and wouldn't let me write more words. I didn't know Reedsy had a cap. I found it out the hard way. I was like, are you kidding me? I'm going to be checking real quick my freaking author copies because I know we're hitting about an hour, but I'm going to click around right now and see if I can get my Amazon copies if because they're supposed to be arriving soon. So if they're already here, I can get them and we can open the box on live. If they would please. No, it keeps pushing it was supposed to get here by like 3 my time, and now it says 3:45. They weren't joking when they said like your Amazon author copies take a while, and I'm starting to like get a little bit nervous. I'm gonna be honest. And I massively struggle with writing them with their distinct voices. Like everyone sounds the same when I write them, but in my head, get their unique voices and impressions. That's so interesting, Patricia. What I would do is ask if betas think that they have distinctive voices or not, because sometimes I feel like all the characters sound the same, and then betas will compliment me on how their voices sound different, and I'm like, in my head they do. In my writing, did I actually accomplish that? Question mark. If it is a critique you're getting though, then like that is so interesting. Maybe it's just like your writing style specifically, like your author voice is infecting their character voice, because those are two different things, and you have to find a balance between both of them. That might be something. A few congrats on your list. Thank you so much, Katie. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up soon because I was hoping I would have my author copies, but like it says now it's gonna be like another 2 hours till they get here, and which I'm starting to get a little bit nervous at how long these are gonna take in, especially because if you guys are gonna be at some cons, I will be at some cons this year. I will be at Once Upon a Con in Maryland in August, and I'm going to be there with my co-host for the Rencraft podcast, Holly. We're actually going to be doing a live podcast as one of the panels, so I'm super excited about that. And I will be selling copies of Between the Shadows of the Dawn with some artwork and swag and stuff, but kind of nervous about how I'm supposed to afford those author copies and get them to my new place in time because, again, don't have a job. And also, I'm moving, so I can't even like order them in advance with savings or anything because I don't have a new address for them to get here if they're going to take a bazillion years to get here. And then also I know when you're doing big bulk orders of books, sometimes Amazon just throws them all in a box and like is like, good luck, half these are going to be damaged. So that'll be so fun. And then the other BookCon I will be is at Fall Into Books Fest, I think is what it's called. And that's going to be in Anaheim, California in September. So I'm actually hoping, throwing it out there because of my rapid release schedule, that I'm going to try and line up the releases of some of these novellas with when I'm going to be at these book events. And if I can pre-order my own author copies or like get them early or something, then I'll have that book brand new on the shelf. So people can, like, if you're going to those events, you're going to be the first people to ever get the physical copies, basically. So if I can figure out a way to make that work by August and September, then that might be a thing if you guys are coming. Not that I would be going to the kitchen for everything. Yeah, understandable. Understandable. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I've been yapping for so long, guys. this is how I lost my voice after filming for 15 hours between 2 days. I was pulling like 8 to 10 hour shifts of just talking. And by the end of it, I was like, Wednesday, when I returned that equipment to work, I was like, sorry, boss. I totally wasn't using the work equipment for my own stuff. What are you going to do? Fire me? You already did. You already laid me off. But because we're going to start wrapping this up, if anyone has any final questions, say it now or hold your peace. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to probably actually start doing, once I get to my new place, probably end of July, I'll be doing writing sprints. One of my, if you guys know my 185 Insane Challenge, one of the things I wanted to do was this weekend participate in the 24-hour novel challenge like I had done last year, because I wrote like 30K in a weekend last year. And it was a really fun, good experience to basically show myself how much I could write if I gave myself the time, which is literally what inspired me to write 3K plus words a day in my challenge, was because I was like, okay, if I dedicate the time to it and I know what I'm writing because I've outlined correctly and like, you know, I'm inspired about the world, I can write books super freaking fast, which means I can actually accomplish doing rapid release. And so that's what inspired sort of this entire thing, was that revelation with 24-hour novel challenge. But because I'm moving and I have to paint the walls this weekend, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to participate in any of that. So with all of that in mind, I actually do want to host my own version of 24-hour novel challenge, just so that if anyone who couldn't participate this time, we can do it together on the 185 Discord. And so I might do some channel streams and some Discord streams and do sprint streams starting probably end of July is when I would host kind of my own version of it, just like more laid back. You know, let's just write together for as long as feasibly possible across 2 different streaming platforms, either the Discord group if you're on it or on the YouTube channel for a weekend. And we would just go like super hard on the word count and everything, because I don't want to give up on not doing the 24-hour novel challenge, especially because I do want to do live streams. And I want to set up a live stream schedule. So whatever, like I definitely need some sort of survival job in the next like bit of time. So I just have to figure out kind of what my survival job, whatever it ends up being, schedule looks like. And then I'll base my live stream schedule around that schedule, and we'll have at least monthly live streams for stuff, plus the 24-hour novel challenge, my version of it, in July instead of June, just because I couldn't do it this time, but I still want to mark that goal as complete. You know, like I don't want to, sorry, I have like a hair stuck on my nose somewhere. I don't want to like give up on that goal just because the time didn't work out for me, because I move in like less than a week. Yes, we'll love a 24-hour novel challenge and many writing sessions. Yes. Okay. Sweet. Because I don't want to be on sprints and then like no one's with me to like cheer on or get cheered on, you know, like that would suck. Ooh, yes. I'll be doing the 24-hour novel challenge this weekend. Excited to see what I get done. Thanks for the live and congrats. Thank you, Patricia. Yeah. I was so looking forward to doing it, especially because last time I did 24-hour novel challenge, I was also doing it with my critique partners, who I normally sprint with every Tuesday, but we've had to put it on pause again because I'm moving. So we've had to put our Tuesday streams together on pause and the 24-hour novel one. So I'm excited just to get resettled and just like figure out these kind of live schedules, because this has been fun and I don't do this like nearly enough. And especially doing sprints, because I feel like that has been such a core part of me figuring out how much I can actually write, is doing sprints with friends and then like doing the math on it and getting motivated by them, versus doing it in a vacuum the entire time and not communicating with people, you know? So it is just, it's always been such a like integral part of my writing, and I've always done it kind of behind closed doors just with friends. So opening it up like this, it would be so fun, especially if I can get another person on live and we can kind of like pick a topic for the day that we're going to talk about like in between breaks and stuff. I think that would be fun. Yeah, but any other last questions, then I'm going to hop off. I will post a video probably today on maybe Shorts, IG, and TikTok of me getting my author copies. So I'm like, I really wanted to do it on the live, but they didn't get here. So sad. The Foggy Author, yes. The Foggy Author. I don't know how I forgot your name, because then again, traumatic brain injury over here. I have amnesia and not very good memory. But this is a man who's coming in here at like 9:30 at night, his time. Dedication. I hope you've enjoyed it, and this is your nice bedtime story. But moving, he said moving is a big thing. Brett, yes. Yes, I'm horrible with names. No one, like, I'm going to put this out there. No one ever take it personally if I don't remember your name or your username. I don't even remember my sibling's own birthday. I literally have amnesia. I literally had a concussion and forgot like half my life. I don't have a good memory. I remember like TV shows and that's it. And half the time I don't. I have the same, hence my know. Yes, I do remember that. So we understand each other here. I'm throwing that out for everyone who doesn't understand Brett. Epilepsy, yeah. Yeah, so our memories together, Brett, maybe can form a quarter of a normal person's memory capacity. Okay, so yeah, he said moving is a big thing. You can't just do it and everything else at the same time. I've moved lots of times. Each one was different. Yeah, no, that is so for real. And I feel like part of my problem with actually like being a successful author and YouTuber always comes down to the fact that I've moved so much. I've moved like every single year the last 4-ish years. So 2021, I moved out of my childhood home for the first time, had a rep for the first time. I lived in that place for only 2 years. And then my sibling came to live with us and we needed a bigger place. So we moved into my last hellhole of a place. Oh my God. I don't think I fully divulged everything that happened at this place, but it was just a monster from the beginning. I will share the tea on this one. We were supposed to get a place that was actually going to lower our rent by like 200 people, God, $200 per person, right? We were also supposed to move in with my lifelong best friend, who was also my maid of honor, right? 2 days before moving in there, they tell us, hey, your unit is not going to be ready in time, and we have no other units like it available. So you're going to now have to move to the most expensive unit to be able to accommodate the number of people you're planning to live with. Because at that point, we're going to have me and my husband, so that's 1 bedroom, 2 roommates, and my sibling. So we needed like a 4-bedroom rental. And there was very few of them in our entire area. And so we were like, well, all of our paperwork is already done. We don't have the time to go find another one and get approved. We just have to move to what they have available. So we switched, got the most expensive unit in their property, moved in. My maid of honor stayed for like a month and then fucked off. She was like, yeah, I lived here for like a little bit, but my boyfriend who wants to live with me is racist and doesn't like living with your roommate because he's Black. Oh, that's fun. Great of you. And then, least to say, not my friend after that, not my maid of honor after that. She also was like trying to get me like medically, like mentally evaluated, and then like tried to like force me to get on depressive meds. And I do have some circumstantial evidence that she was actually drugging me at one point. Like it was insane. It was crazy. So I think she was, I have some circumstantial evidence that she was actually crushing her depression meds into food that she would then give me. And then she also tried to get my sister-in-law, future sister-in-law at the time, because I wasn't married yet, tried to get her to get involved with my marriage. And yeah, it was like a whole thing. And then of course, when they moved out, we got a crazy ass roommate who was just like insane and was like coming home roofied from bars and then making like my sibling take care of them rather than like, you know, going to the police or like, you know, doing things like that. So like that was all crazy. She was insane. And then we were like, okay, well, we don't want to do this again. We don't like where we live. It was like a 3-story with my condition of my legs, going up 2 flights of stairs every single day was, our bedroom was like the smallest thing ever. I'm talking, it was smaller than this little office I'm in, and you're seeing about half of it. And it was, again, their most expensive unit, and we had less room than we would have with the cheap unit. So we were like, F this place. We found this place, moved in here, and now it's been 1.5 years since we moved in here. And then me and my sibling both lost our jobs because we worked at the same place together, and we're the only 2 people in our department left. So they got rid of the entire department, and now we're moving again. So I'm like, next place we move, that is the last place we're moving until I buy a house. Like, I'm not doing this again. Every time it is different, but every time it is hell, and I am not for it. But yeah, that's the story of one of the reasons I have not been able to settle and really like fully devote myself to YouTube and to publishing different things like that, is because I'm constantly packing up my life and then moving again and then having to spend the money for moving. So I'm like, we're not doing this again. Together we can make half a brain. Well, why be boring and have a whole brain when you can be different and enjoy life? Hell fucking yeah. If you're looking for someone to be on a live writing session with, I think I would offer myself as tribute if we can get your time zone aligned, because I'm quite a few hours ahead. Yeah, I'm totally down for that, Patricia. I will let me see if I can open up your YouTube channel and make sure that I have you. I can't do it on here. Patricia, if you can DM me on like Instagram or TikTok or wherever and say you're Patricia from the live stream so I can find your social media and stuff and we can start chatting about that. Hell yeah, I'm down for figuring that out. I know you're going to be a few hours ahead, but I tend to be able to make those things work given schedules. We'll have to see about schedules, but we can definitely try that out, especially because like I do my podcast with my friend Holly and she's in Quebec and I'm in California. So like East Coast, West Coast, we do end up making some things work. You need another room for a walk-in library. You can never have too many books. Just get more shelving. This sounds like a weird plot from Misery. Yeah, no, it was. I have the wildest stories at any given time. At any given time, and people are like, "How do all these things always happen to you?" I'm like, "Oh, hello, friend. Oh, hi, Phantom." She came. She wanted to say hi to live. Yeah, no, I have the wildest stories happen at any given time to me, and I don't ask for any of it, but I think all that trauma is what made me funny. So at least they're, accomplished something. Oh no, we're on this side. Okay. Oh, she's gorgeous. Yes, she is not my cat, but when she wants to love on me, she acts like she's my cat. Right now, I think she's hunting lint on the floor. It's not even a bug. At least she's entertained. Hi, Kitty. Yes, that is Phantom. That is my sibling Jay's cat. Mine it's technically my husband's, but like, and it's your husband's pet. It's also your pet. Mine is her sister. Her name is Rayla, like from the Dragon Prince, and she's a pale calico. So she looks similar to her, but like paler and thicker, shall we say. She's a little fatty, so she is very dense. She's not much bigger, but she is like way heavier than that cat for some unknown reason. It's kind of funny. All right. Well, I think that is it. Patricia, you can DM me on something. That'd be great. My handle is the same everywhere. It's Jenna Streety, Street with a Y on the end. And for anyone who is asking, because I get this question a lot, yes, that is my actual legal name. Are they sisters? Thicker, dense, stupid, or a bit chunky? Yes, they are sisters. They are a pair of bonded sisters when we got them, and they were rescued underneath a Las Vegas bathtub. So someone in Las Vegas who knew my mom heard kittens when he was trying to shower, was like, where are those kittens coming from? Ended up having the hotel let him crawl through the crawl space to get and save the kittens that were under his bathtub that were abandoned by their mother. And then he nursed them back to health, brought them back to California, and then randomly knew my mom and was like, hey, you want cats? And she was like, you know what? I think my kids might want some cats. And we were like, we really shouldn't take any extra ones. Like, we already have cats, but like, okay, we'll meet them. And of course, when you go to meet the cat, you're going to end up with the cat. Like, you hold the little baby in your hand and you're like, oh no, this is mine. Emotional trickery. I was doing some other work related stuff, but I wanted to hop in and say hi. Thank you, Bella, for joining and saying hi. We're not going to stay on here too much longer, but thanks for popping in and everything. If you have any questions, now is the time. I'll dim you in your Discord channel tomorrow. Perfect. Thank you. You need a t-shirt? I rescue cats. What's your superpower? I have seen shirts like that, but my problem with that is that if I wear the shirt that says like, I rescue cats, then I already have a problem with the cat distribution center always choosing me. I feel like that's inviting more of it. And I already have 4 cats, 2 dogs. I really shouldn't. I'm like, I love the fur bastards. Don't get me wrong, but there's only so much money that you can dedicate just to pets, and they are, if you're treating them correctly, they are expensive investments. Even though I love and adore them, I will let the rescuing and the fostering and the babysitting of them go to professionals. Like I know my podcast host, co-host Holly, she like babysits. What would we call it? Like cat sitting? Yeah, she like does cat sitting for owners who are like on vacation and need them to take care of their cat. So they do that. My thing is that even if I did that, or if I did rescues, I know myself well enough that I'd be so sad saying goodbye to them. I can do a foster. I will end up with the pet if I foster them. I will end up with the pet if I babysit them, and I will just end up stealing someone's pet. Like, I'm horrible. Quick question for you, Go. How on earth are you doing the launch and insane 185 at the same time? I'm not. I am doing, I seriously, I thought before you. Don't. I'm seriously not. I am doing a book launch and moving. So I have basically said, okay, these are the two focuses I have to have. I fell off the 185. I was like basically doing the 185 challenge before posting my video. And that's what inspired me to post the video, was to have accountability to myself, to continue doing the habits that I was already having. And then immediately lost my job and fell off because of my 2-week depression spiral, and then having to catch up on everything, having to spend 15 hours across 2 days just dedicated to mass filming videos. So I, in no way, shape, or form, have kept up with the habits necessary to complete the 185. I have been marking when I do happen to accomplish certain things, but I'm not keeping with 185 right now, simply because I know if I want to move effectively, launch my book as effectively as possible, I cannot keep up with the entirety of 185. So instead, one second, what I am doing is deciding, okay, I have these two things that I can focus on, which is the launching of the book today and moving, because I have to do that next Thursday. And then I have to move into my new place on June 30th, which was a whole nother thing, because they told us July 1st and then they moved us to June 30th. So we actually lost a day for moving. So we then have to leave this place earlier to settle into the new place faster. And we're kind of like in between addresses for those couple days as well, which is like a whole thing. So I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to upkeep all of that. But my hope is that once we get to the new place and settle in, which, because I don't have a job and my sibling doesn't have a job, we should be able to settle in really, really quickly, theoretically speaking, because we'll both be like hands on deck the entire time to get everything set up for our new place, which before, every time we were moving, we were also having to work for 8 hours a day. So it took forever to settle in. It would take like 3 months to settle into a new place. I still have boxes in my bedroom that we just never unpacked, and I just retaped up, like, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to dedicate fully to the 185 and like actively try to complete it every single day again until after we move, simply because I'm not going to risk, like, you know, moving or ending up basically with like a huge money that I owe this apartment complex, simply because I didn't have the time dedicated to actually get it cleaned up and ready for new tenants, simply because I was doing 185. Like, I can't afford to pay this place a whole bunch of money. We're probably going to already have to pay for the new carpet because we have pets and pets do what they do. So yeah, I'm not keeping up with it really. I told you, I haven't, if you were here earlier, I don't know if you were here the entire time, but I haven't written since like the start of July. I've been very bad. I finished my novella and then I needed to let it sit, and like I've started to outline my next novella, and that was like the most that I got done. But I'm hoping that in that in-between section between addresses, I will have time to write. And then I can catch up on some things. But for the most part, 185 is kind of like paused as I make this big transition to a new place. And then I'll make a whole episode dedicated to the part of my life that is moving into a new place and kind of like the starting overness of everything. Plus, my big Q4 mystery goal is also in July. That was supposed to be a November end of the challenge Q4 goal. Now it is start of Q3 in July goal. So that is happening. I will have a video that's already scheduled coming out about that start of July when it is happening. And I still cannot tell you guys anything, but if you guys are on the Patreon, you guys will actually get a sneak peek of what that is first. I will say that. Let's see. I did want to mention you inspired me to do my own custom 6 months to change challenge, and I can't wait to read your recommendations. Thank you so much, Bella. I hope that the challenge goes so well for you. I have so many videos to catch up on people who are doing the challenge and have been tagging me. So when you do it, please do tag me so I can check out your video, because I really made that video thinking that like I was gonna maybe get like 100 views. Like, my channel wasn't doing great. You know, like I've been on it for a long time, but because I was so inconsistent with posting, my views were not fantastic. And I was thinking I was going to mostly post it for my own, you know, accountability versus doing it to inspire other people. But it seems like it really did. And that's like that's been something so special for me. So I really do hope you change your life completely and live the life that you want to live. And I can't wait to watch it. Please do tag me in all of your episodes and things like that. Moved here 2 years ago. Still got some unpacked boxes. Yeah, I heard that's a thing that happens with people where they're like, oh, we moved and then we just like pack up the same stuff and yada yada. You just have certain boxes that never really get unpacked. I'm a Virgo. I can't do that. Like, I remember technically those, I think 3 boxes that was in my bedroom are my husband's. And he's like, no, I don't really have anywhere to put them. I'll just leave them in the boxes. And I was always like, no, you need to unpack them. Now I'm glad he didn't listen to me. That's the only time you're going to hear a wife say, I'm glad my husband didn't listen to me. Because, yeah, it made it easy. It's just like, okay, retape up the same box. It's already marked with what's in it. And then I think he did unpack like a couple things onto a shelf that he wanted to display. And so then because the boxes were still there and open, he just took them back off the shelf after already putting them up there only a few months ago. And he just was like, now here you go, back in the box. I'm refreshing my freaking Amazon order again, just trying to manifest that the freaking, nope, it's still not here. I'll make a video when I actually get them, but I'll probably be jumping off. We did go for like an hour and a half. I will give you guys another 10 minutes to ask any questions or hold your peace until the next one. I will definitely be doing the live streams, and then obviously as my channel grows, we'll probably also be doing like live Q&As, because I've done Q&As before where I've like asked on Instagram, hey guys, I'm going to do a Q&A, give me your questions. But I don't find it as personal as doing like, not face-to-face. I wish we could do this face-to-face. Like if there's any way you guys know of so that I can see you guys, if you guys are into that, like that'd be so cool. Because I felt like half the time I was talking to no one, but like I see you guys commenting, but it doesn't feel as personable, which I know we can do on Discord, but it is kind of like a locked community. It's not connected to YouTube. I wonder if the memberships maybe do that, but that like costs money and I don't want to necessarily do that either. Brett said, another question, what advice do you have for someone trying to grow an author channel? Perfect question. I have a video that I already filmed because 2 people asked me that in a previous video for social media marketing and AuthorTube advice. So I do have an old video on how to start an AuthorTube channel, but it is kind of like dated and I haven't gone back through it to see if I agree with everything, but I will be having a new video. Let me check for you when that one, linky, yeah, let me see if I can grab that link for you, Brett. I have one scheduled. Let me see when it's going to drop. Hello. If I could have my internet load, that'd be great. It's probably because I'm on live. It's like, no, you can't do multiple things at once like this. Let's see. Content. Oh my God, guys, we're almost to 4,000 subscribers. Oh my goodness. We're at 3,966. I've been stuck at like 3,100 for years. That's crazy to me. Again, because my problem is just being inconsistent, which is one of the huge things I want to change with the 185 challenge. I was going to say it's 185, right? Yeah, I'm fucking myself up here. See, memory, not a good thing. But yeah, so being consistent, which I know for consistency, you're not supposed to focus on being consistent. You're supposed to focus on systems. I've heard that quite a bunch. But for simplicity's sake, actually getting consistent with content, with being like present online, willing to be perceived, scary, writing, different things like that, like being consistent in all of those different types of ways. A necessity for me at this point in time, so I need to do that. Let's see. You know what I can do, Brett, is I'm going to actually switch some videos that I had scheduled because this seems to be the question I'm getting the most. So what I'm going to do is my new video on how to do AuthorTube. I'm just changed its schedule. It'll be out next Friday, the 27th. So I just switched that around with a different video that I had scheduled. Because I scheduled a bunch in advance. That way it's like when I'm settling in, I still have content coming out and I don't miss a week, because I did miss a week last week and I was like, no. But yeah, so the video is going to be called The Best Social Media Marketing Advice for Authors with AuthorTube tips on it. That's going to be out next Friday. But short of it is going to be have fun with it. Figure out if you want to entertain or if you want to educate or if you want to motivate. That is another kind of section. So entertainment is going to be more like vlogs. Education is going to be more like tips. And my caveat is always, if you're going to do tips, you should also have some of your writing to share with people. That way that they know, hey, I liked your writing. That means I would probably like your advice for me, because everyone's writing is subjective and everyone should have the choice whether or not they're going to take advice from people on the basis of the proof in the pudding kind of thing. So now you've just got to stuff move around. Cody the writer, congrats on the book release. Thank you so much, Cody. Thank you. Yes, of course. Awesome, because I also going to ask about AuthorTube. I am so excited that we're seeing this resurgence of people interested in AuthorTube, because I felt like we were kind of dead there for like a little bit, which everyone's been saying AuthorTube is going to be dead or it's going to be alive. Like everyone's been flip-flopping on that since its birth, since it started, which I'm not going to go too much into all of my tips for it, because I do have that other video, which actually you asked for the link, Brett. So let me get that for you. I almost forgot. It's definitely on my channel, but it is a little bit more dated. But history lesson on AuthorTube for you guys, if you guys are a little bit newer, because I think if you're wanting to start an AuthorTube channel now, maybe you guys haven't been around since its inception in it was either late 2015 or early 2016. I can actually check in my content. Let's see if I look up AuthorTube on my channel in my back end. Let's see how many videos I mentioned AuthorTube. Okay, so AuthorTube began for realsies October 29th, 2016. The reason it began was because another creator, Lily Mead, I don't 100% know when her video came out, but I think it was the beginning of 2016. Lily Mead, author of The Shadow Sister, which is out now, created a video saying, oh, let's create a community, AuthorTube. Problem is that video was like she did a good job. I like the name, etc., but people didn't have a way to find each other because they weren't really using the hashtag, and they didn't have a way to start connecting immediately. So I went to Lily and I was like, hey, would you be down for me making a newbie tag like how there's the booktube tag? So she was like, yes, please do. Just make sure to tag me. I said, sure. Did that one. That original video did kind of blow up. It got about 4,000 views, which at the time for AuthorTube was the big one. And then after that, that's when the name AuthorTube stuck around and when everyone started their channels. So I was kind of like one of the OGs, not gonna lie. So after that, people started using the name, and that's why later on I came out and privated the original AuthorTube newbie channel video, or the AuthorTube newbie tag original video. Especially because I catered it definitely way more to traditional publishing, and a lot of people were saying like it wasn't very inclusive to self-publishing or people who were just writing for fun. And so I wanted to make sure that the tag that was getting people into the community was really inclusive. And so I ended up changing some of the questions, and it made sense why, because I was seeking traditional publishing. I was planning to query. I was working on Spaceborne, and then Lily was traditional published, and had an agent, was starting to do all the submissions for her books with her agent. So it made sense that we were going through that lens, but I was like, you know what, I want to be a little bit more inclusive with this. So then we had newbie tag 2.0, which was June 7th, 2019, pre-pandemic. Crazy. That was another 4,000, almost 200 views as of right now. And that one is still public, so that video is still around. And I know sometimes people can't find the original creator. It's me. So that was the newbie tag 2.0, and that's the original video. And then let me see here if I have, so how to start an AuthorTube channel, tips and tricks. I posted that on January 6, 2023, so that is a newer one. That I actually filmed in my first apartment I moved to, because I have just different backgrounds every time, which is great. Let me grab that link for you, Brett, for that video. I'll put it in the chat. So if you guys are looking for my first ever video on it, there it is. And then next Friday, I'll have the new video out for more marketing and AuthorTube tips. Let's see. Entertain, motivate. I have a video newsletter. It shows my life as an author. It gets people to ask me questions, book recommendations, and feature article. It's a bit different. I love it. So with that one, that's going to be entertain, because people like to watch other people's lives. It's kind of like one of our, like, you know how we like people watching? This is the digital version of people watching. And some people do get very inspired just by watching other people's vlogs, because they're, you know, a little bit like, hey, I'm one, a little bit nosy, and then two, I'm a little bit curious about how an author's life works. So for me personally, I get really inspired by other authors just watching them write, watching them come up with their stories, watching like their eyes light up when they're talking about their book, that is really intriguing to me. And I know there's tons of people who even don't write who get interested about that lifestyle, because most people in the world want to write a book and most people don't actually do it. So it is kind of like inspirational off the bat for people to look and say, hey, these are all these authors who are vlogging their lives. I want to kind of eventually emulate that. Even if you don't think your life is that interesting to emulate, you'd be surprised. But that's going to be, if you're doing that kind of stuff, that's like a video diary or a vlog, you're going to fall into the entertainment category for that reason. Well, that sounds like I'm trying to advertise. I didn't mean that. I was just asking a question. No, I didn't think you're trying to advertise at all, but like, you know, I'm getting all the information out that I can. You know, the author newbie tag, cool. Yeah, I did. That was, God, it feels like so long ago, especially, you know, like I imagine, Brett, you understand what it's like when you don't have great memory because of things either like epilepsy or like fucking concussion for me. When, at least in my case, when you're thinking back on things, it feels a lot longer than it really was, or sometimes it feels sooner than it really was. So this is one of the things that just feels like it was a bazillion years ago. But in reality, it was like, I mean, it was like a decade ago when the first video was posted, the first newbie tag. But then the updated one was 2019. But because of the pandemic, that feels like forever to go. That was pre-Panini. It's so cool that you came up with the tag. Yeah, it's one of my like little fun facts. My little fun facts as well that I wish someone would go on the YouTube. I think I'm on like the YouTuber wiki. But on the YouTuber wiki, I wish someone would correct the wiki because it says I didn't start posting videos until I think it says like 2018 last time I checked it, just out of curiosity. But like I was posting videos from like 2011, 2012. I wanted to be like the new I Superwoman I. Like I was in that cringy timeline was when I was posting videos. And then I was the first one who did the original tag and then the 2.0 as well. You're all good, Brett. If anyone wants help starting a YouTube, Nate Black is amazing and offers so much advice on proposition. Oh, I'm gonna look this person up. I am always looking at, which actually I might know them. Hold on. I'm always looking at YouTube advice just because I love. Oh, yep, I do know him. He's great. Yeah, I love his videos. And if you're looking at more of a business mindset, Think Media is pretty good. I'm not really one for like how much they talk about religion and God on theirs, but like that's their mission kind of thing. So like. That's how they do it. I just ignore that part. I'm like, that doesn't apply to me. Especially because they do help like a lot of Christian channels and stuff, but their advice is still like pretty sound and solid. Let's see. Nate Black's fantastic though. He's talking a little bit more about like passion, creativity versus like the business side of stuff. So you can blend those two things together. Let's see. I get brain farts, not as much as I used to, but sometimes my brain just needs a reboot. Yeah, no, what I always say is that I need my brain scrubbed. Like if I could just get one of those exfoliating gloves to just like massage my brain and like scrub it up a little bit, it would feel so nice. Nick Black is amazing. He's got great advice. Now I get need to apply. See, Patricia, you are exactly. Literally, that's what my problem has been. I feel like this has been so many people's problem, and it's part of the reason for me to get inspired for the 185 challenge was that I have consumed so much information and so many lessons from people like Nate Black, Think Media, like different entrepreneur mindsets, and then never actually implemented what they were teaching. And it was one of those things that I realized while also working in corporate America, my CEO, who I mentioned, who I'm still scared of him actually reading my spicy novels, even though he's not my CEO anymore. I won't see him again probably. Still, the thought of it, yeah, but he's very much in the self-help guru kind of thing. I don't want to risk doxing myself by saying who he is when I still live in the area, but maybe one day I'll kind of talk about fully working with him. But he's a bigger influencer. He's got like his silver play button that I helped him get, but can't make for myself, ? And he's got like a couple million followers on like TikTok and stuff. He's done a lot of speaking engagements and things like that. He's very much, I think who is he friends with? I'm trying to download self-help gurus in my head. I know he's done some stuff with Dave Ramsey. I know he's done some stuff with, oh goodness. If I just look up self-help guru, I'll probably find it. Self-help gurus. He's probably like done half of them. Not done half of them. Oh my goodness. No, he's probably known or been friends with half of them. He's not out there doing this. Just want to throw that out there. Let me see. Tony Robbins. Yeah. So he's done several Tony Robbins events. Got on as a guest, and because he knows him. And then let's see, Gary V. He has several people who are mutuals, and they've run in the same circles. And then Jay Shetty as well. So he's pretty like big up there and stuff. I would say if you guys know any of those people, like I've ran into a couple of those bigger influencers and stuff, and influencer self-help type people. What was I going with this? But oh yeah, just being like, my point being with all of that is that being around all those types of people who are like all about the self-help stuff, and seeing how many people are there consuming their stuff time and time again, but then they weren't actually implementing any of it, was like kind of frustrating. Because I'm like, you're spending thousands of dollars on some of these courses that we were a part of, that he was doing speaking engagements at, and I was like, and you're here time and time again, and you're dealing with the same problem over and over again. None of you are implementing any of the advice that you're paying thousands of dollars for. And then I was sitting there going, wait a minute, pot calling the kettle black, look in the mirror. I am consuming all of this media all the time, all of these self-help things, all of these things about consistency and hustle and blah, 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 blah. And one, that sounds like it's going to burn me out so much, because none of these people are like in the creative space that I'm in. And two, I've learned all of this knowledge from all of these people I am surrounded with all the time, who people pay thousands of dollars for their advice, and I'm not implementing any of it. I'm not doing any of it. That sucks. So that was kind of a lot of my inspo, was literally looking at like, hey, I'm around a bunch of like millionaires, and I don't know how to like take some of their advice that they're selling to people to make them millionaires. So I was like, I don't want to be a millionaire. That sounds like way too much money. But they do have like better work-life balance, or they have like, you know, they own houses. Like I would love to own a house one day. Like my CEO eventually went and bought a bunch of land, and he's got like chickens, and he's gonna get horses and stuff. I'm like, I want a horsey. I need to start implementing a bunch of these things that I'm learning. Let's see. Jenna. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Jenna, I'm so happy for you for your launch. I hope she says the Don Fence. It's readers, blows with Fennel. Thank you so much, Haley. Yes, there's so much lore. There's so many connections and small Easter eggs. Like, I'm gonna throw this out there immediately. There is an Easter egg for Pirates of the Caribbean. First person who finds it, I will give you something. I don't know what yet, but first person who tells me where the Pirates of the Caribbean reference is in Between the Shadows and the Dawn, I will find something to give you, because I'm like waiting. I've been like waiting for a beta to notice it, and no one has. And I'm like, please, someone point out the Pirates of the Caribbean reference I snuck in there. I built a scene around the reference. I gotta head to bed. It's late here. Congrats. Bye, everyone. Bye, Patricia. You've definitely been posting videos longer than 2018. I can attest. Thank you, Haley. I have been on here embarrassingly long. Good night, Patricia. Yes. So speaking of good night, we are going towards 2 hours. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up at the top of the hour and make it just a full 2 hour stream, unless actually no, I can't do that because I'm supposed to hang out with a friend, and I went to just check the live stream. So she is just check my notifications. You know, I was saying I was ignoring the notifications. My friend is here. Sorry, jumping off live now. Okay, yeah. She messaged me 13 minutes ago and tried to call me twice, so I do need to jump off. But thank you so much, everyone. You've heard about. No, it's not that quote, but that would be funny for maybe a future one. But I gotta jump off and hang out with my friend real quick. So I gotta wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining, though. If you want to check out Between the Shadows and the Dawn, you can just look it up on Amazon. It's only available there right now. Just look up my name, Jenna Streety, and I should pop up. But love you guys so much, and I will have new videos out for the next 3 weeks. They're already scheduled. So see you guys in a bit and everything. So bye.